Hello folks, my name is Mark. This is Mark's Movie Reviews. Today we're talking about Shazam, which is the seventh in the DC cinematic universe. And it's actually pretty good. I think they're starting to hit their stride here. So this movie, if you don't know the backstory of Shazam, it's basically a kid, Billy Baston, gets magical powers. And when he says the word Shazam, he turns into a big Superman type superhero, which was a hero that back in the day was even more popular at some points than even Superman was. So there is a bit of a complicated backstory with the character itself, which I'm sure if you want to know the history, you can find much better YouTube videos to explain it to you. Long story short, he was originally called Captain Marvel, and then the copyright expired, so that allowed Marvel Comics to actually snap up the name, and that's why we have a movie out right now called Captain Marvel. Whereas in this movie, they can't even call him that anymore, so they just call him Shazam, but he can't actually say that during the movie or else it turns him back and forth. And they make a plot point of that in the movie, that they're kind of trying to think of a name for him. They're calling him things like Captain Sparkle Fingers and stuff like that. And it's a pretty funny joke that kind of runs through the whole movie. So speaking of that, this is very much a kid's movie, and it's very much a comedy, which is kind of cool to see now that superhero movies are starting to not take themselves so seriously and stuff. Although there are some pretty dark moments in this, but mainly it's a comedy, it's a coming-of-age kind of thing. In fact, it reminds me a lot of a typical teenage coming-of-age movie that you would see in the 80s. In fact, the thing that comes to mind after seeing this is Tom Hanks's movie Big. If you've ever seen that movie, it's about a kid who makes a wish to be big and be older, and then he wakes up and he's Tom Hanks. Right? There's a scene in this movie that pays homage to that, so I think they were aware of the similarities there between these two movies as well. So basically, the movie's about family. That's what it's really about. It's Billy Baston is an orphan. He's searching for his mother. He's, in the meantime, he's kind of saddled with this foster family that he doesn't really feel attached to, right? And the actor plays it off really well as a kid who's skittish. He's been burned by the system one too many times. He's always running away, stuff like that. And it's about learning how to appreciate family and stuff, how to love and appreciate your family for what they do for you. And even the villain in this is Dr. Sylvanus, I think his name is. Yeah, has a similar theme. And in his case, he's rejected by his father and his brother, and so he wreaks terrible vengeance on his family. Speaking of the villain, which I was surprised it wasn't Black Adam they didn't use, because Black Adam is kind of like the, arch nemesis of Shazam, right? But yeah, the villain in this is pretty freaking scary. He's like this sort of guy that has the 7 deadly sins possessing his body. Yeah, and they're actually demons, and so he periodically releases them to go kill people. And I could say that they're pretty terrifying. His father is the CEO of this company, and he breaks into the boardroom and releases all the demons because they were in a globe in his eye, and they kill everybody in the room, and it's damn, for a second there, you're yeah, see, there's some dark moments in this. Creature effects for the seven deadly sins are pretty awesome. They look way better than how they're represented in the comics. I can say that for sure, right? Big spoiler here, the rest of the Marvel family shows up as well. That was something back in the day, Captain Marvel had a whole extended family, Marvel Boy and Mary Marvel and all these other characters that had the same kind of powers, right? They all appear in this too. So, and that was actually pretty cool. That wasn't really spoiled in any of the previews or anything like that. So, and there's a big fight scene at the end where they all fight the demons and things, and that was pretty awesome. I think it's kind of funny that they can't call him Captain Marvel, which kind of makes me think because they still kind of hold the copyrights on the other Marvel family characters, right? Mary Marvel and Marvel Boy and all those other guys. So it's are they still going to be called their names, but then he's going to be called Shazam? I don't know how they're going to work that out. So growing up, I've always been into comics, and but I never really read Captain Marvel, Shazam at all, right? I know nothing about the character. In fact, pretty much everything I know about this character I got from the Justice League animated shows, right? Which is basically virtually nothing. And so it was kind of cool to see one of these movies from a fresh perspective without having all of that baggage of backstory and history behind it. It was really kind of awesome to see. Like, I had really had no idea what to expect from this, and I'm happy to say that it came off pretty well. You know, I was into it. It makes me want to read the comics now, especially with the after credits scene where they show one of the more creative, goofy villains from the 50s reimagined, and looks pretty awesome. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to seeing what they do next with the movie. So if you haven't yet, go see it. It's actually really, really good. That's all I got, folks. Adios.